let's be honest, NASCAR can be really weird. And if it's not weird, it's definitely a sport that really highlights oddities. There are so many different things in NASCAR that happen that when you look back, don't seem like something that you'd remember, don't seem like something unique, and don't seem like something that, in all honesty, is real. But they end up being that way. So today, we're going to look at a couple facts about NASCAR, or at least NASCAR's history, partners, drivers, whoever, that are actually true, and things that you may not know about the sport. So let's get right into it. Starting off, let's look at everybody's favorite broadcast partner nowadays, and that is Fox Sports. Starting this year, Fox Sports is the longest tenured NASCAR TV partner or channel, especially channel, that NASCAR's ever had consistently and consecutively. And this may seem like something that's not true. For many fans who were fans in the 2000s and even into the 2010s, it doesn't seem like it's been that long that Fox Sports has been part of the broadcast lineup for NASCAR. And with all the changes that have happened to the sport, it's kind of hard to forget just how much time has passed. But man, 23 years straight. We know for sure 24, and we'll talk a little bit later about what happens after 24. But when you look in comparison, you might say, wait, CBS Sports, they had to have had it, right? They had flag-to-flag coverage of NASCAR for years. Well, they had it for 22 of them, from 1979 to 2000. But this was not under as structured of a deal as Fox Sports has had, as the tracks would be the ones who would negotiate the deals with the TV partners instead of NASCAR themselves at this time. So CBS, they're out of the running against Fox. Fox has them beat. What about ESPN and ABC? They're the worldwide leader of sports. They had all of these different specials on, had NASCAR races on tape delay live through the years with ESPN. Wouldn't they be up there? Well, no. They had no actual consecutive runs of as long as CBS even did from 1981 to 2000. And even if they did, that would only be 20 years. I say only like it's not that much time. But they didn't break that record either. And then you got Turner Sports, who had multiple different productions and channels in their time with NASCAR, or was saddled up with some, like when they were saddled with NBC from 2001 to 2006. They have been in NASCAR for a long time, but there's no channel, TNT, TNN, TBS, any of them, that have broadcast NASCAR as long as the channel Fox has. And speaking of Fox, let's roll into something that might have to do with them, the 2025 NASCAR TV deal. You see, if Fox and NBC sign back on for 2025 onwards, it'll be the first time since going national and just in general that NASCAR has had back-to-back deals with the same partners and remained completely intact when it comes to their TV broadcast lineup and completely consistent. Look back at what they did before. Like we talked about before, in 2000 on back, the tracks were the ones that did the negotiating, not NASCAR. So there was no consistency at all in the early rise up of the sport. Then 2001 changed the game. First off, you had Fox with NBC and then TNT hooked up along with NBC, and that went from 2001 to 2006. Fox stayed on in 2007 through 2014, but this is when you had TNT and ESPN. Ultimately, though, that didn't work out. That contract ended, those partnerships were severed, and in their place was NBC again, which is what we have today, the 2015 through 2024 deal on TV. So if you're able to continue, which the rumor is 8, but probably more like 10 years, it means that you have solid and consistent NASCAR coverage from two channels, virtually unchanged, for 20 years. And we've seen with Fox Sports in NASCAR's heyday, the fall in the 2000s and the 2010s, that Fox Sports doesn't fall as much and is more consistent. And that's probably because NASCAR fans always know where to go. And having that will probably help the sport in 2025 onwards if what is rumored to happen does happen. One of NBC's lead commentators is actually a subject of our next fact, and that is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Do you know that in the time between Dale Jr.'s 2008 and 2012 wins at Michigan, there were a ton of different things that changed in NASCAR, and there were a lot of people who took his place on the winner's mantle. For winners all on their own, well, there were 26 winners in the NASCAR Cup Series in that 4-year span from 2008 to 2012. In that span as well, there were 8 first-time winners, including 4 in 2011. So, tons as well, and one of those first-time winners actually finished just ahead of Dale Jr. in Brad Keselowski at Talladega in 2009. There were 4 rain-shortened races in this time, and 25 that were pushed out to green-white checkers. And for those, well, he was second in 3 of those races. And overall, he finished second in 7 races in that 4-year span. He was close to wins at Kansas, for instance, finishing second. He was close at Martinsville, finishing second. He ran out of gas in the 2011 Coke 600. So it wasn't like he wasn't competing for some wins in this time. But over that time, there was so much change. The cars changed. The COT didn't have the wing or the extended splitter. It was made almost into a completely unrecognizable car by 2011 and 12. And in that time as well, the chase and point system changed. So there was a ton in that span of time that changed between Earnhardt Jr. being a winner in NASCAR. Now let's move to all-time greats, including Jr.'s father, Dale Earnhardt. Did you know that every time a multiple-time champ, someone who is viewed as a GOAT, the guy who really fully leads an era, not co-leads, fully leads the era, every time that one of the new ones wins their first title, the previous dominant driver does not win another title. Now, this is not counting Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick, as both of them kind of co-dominated the 2010s and would not fit into the criteria. But look at the history. Richard Petty won his 7th and final championship in 1979. In that time beforehand, Cale Yarbrough won 3 in a row, and it looked like maybe he would take up the mantle. But it would be a young, brash Dale Earnhardt winning his first championship in 1980 in his sophomore season, and after that, Richard Petty had a slow, turned quick fall off from being a top NASCAR driver. Then you look at Earnhardt. Between 1980 and 1994, he won 7 championships, including that last one in 94. What happened after that? Well, Jeff Gordon won a championship a year later over Earnhardt. And while Earnhardt had been head-to-head with him and been the only guy who could keep up from 1995 through mid-1996, he would never win a championship again while Jeff Gordon was dominating during his life. Then, you look at Gordon, for instance. Gordon won the 2001 championship, or if you want to be really petty about it and talk about most points scored in a season, you could say he scored the most points in 2004 and was the best driver. And what happened after that? Well, in 2006, Jimmy Johnson started the first of 7, including 5 in a row, and no matter what the point system was, he would have won in 2006 anyway. So huge changes were made at these defining points in NASCAR history. And then for our last little fact, we're going to go to a topic that it seems like every NASCAR fan is talking about after the Clash, and that is NASCAR attendance. See, NASCAR attendance now is comparable to that of the early to mid-1980s, which, for many that aren't thinking about it too much, means NASCAR today is comparable to NASCAR 40 years ago when it comes to how many are showing up at the track. See, nowadays, NASCAR averages around 50 to 55,000 fans showing up on average at different races, and they can be above and below these numbers. And that's not too bad whatsoever. It's ahead of most baseball teams, it's ahead of basketball, it's ahead of actually some NFL teams' attendance figures. And it shows the relatively quick rise and quicker fall down for NASCAR over the last 20 or so years and the 20 leading up to it, as that 50 to 55,000 was as high as well over 100,000 in 2005 and now back down to its 1980s level. But with that, those are the odd facts of the day. Different things that hopefully maybe you learned from. And now I want to hear from you about it. So let me know down in the comments below, what are some weird, crazy, or just virtually unknown facts about NASCAR that most might not know about. Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video and share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Also, be sure to tune into Idk Player's channel tonight for the first race of the NR Cup Series, the Daytona 500, which I will be co-commentating. So until then, have a good one.